How much English can you really understand? Let's find out. I'll share a real life story with you, gradually increasing the difficulty as we go along. Ready to challenge yourself? Hello there, I'm Claire, and in today's lesson, we're going to see just how much English you can understand through a short real life story. I'll tell you the story while gradually increasing the difficulty level as we go through. In part 1, we'll start with A1 to A2 level, perfect for beginners to pre-intermediate learners. Then, in part 2, we'll step it up to B1 and B2 levels, aimed at intermediate and upper intermediate learners. Finally, in part 3, we'll reach C1 to C2 level, designed for advanced to proficient English speakers. I have also created a free PDF of today's story if you'd like to read along and highlight new words. You can download the free PDF in the link in the description. If not, don't worry, the story will also appear on the screen next to me here as I read it. Are you ready? Let's dive in and test your skills. Part 1, the start of the journey, A1 to A2 level. My partner and I visited Japan a few years ago. We were in Osaka after visiting Tokyo and Kyoto. We planned this holiday for months and we were so excited to see more of the country. Osaka is a very popular city. People love its bright lights, amazing food, and atmosphere. We really wanted to walk around the city and to explore all the interesting places that were there. Before we went to Japan, we decided to buy a rail pass to travel around the country. The rail pass was a special ticket that allowed us to travel on trains for a much lower price. It was a lot cheaper than buying tickets for every journey, and it made our travels much easier. We used it to travel between cities, from Tokyo to Kyoto and now to Osaka. It was a great decision because we didn't have to worry about ticket prices or getting lost at every station. One evening, we had plans to meet some friends who were also traveling in Japan. They were in the center of Osaka and we had to get a train to join them. We didn't have a lot of time because we left the hotel a little bit later than we had planned. So we ran to the station. At the entrance, the staff checked our rail passes as we went through the ticket gates. I looked at my watch and saw we were behind schedule and that we were going to be late. We had to be faster, so we ran to the platform. When we got there, the train had just arrived. It was great. We were so happy to see it there, and it looked like it was the right train for us. We didn't think. We jumped onto the train, feeling happy that we caught it just in time. We stood there for a moment, taking in a deep breath. We had done it, but then, as I stood there waiting for the train to leave, I was not very sure. Something didn't feel right. I looked around and I started to think, this isn't the train we need to take. The signs and the notices on the train were different from what we had expected. And the train was about to move. I looked at my partner and said, this isn't the right train. Let's get off quickly. I didn't wait. I ran to the doors and jumped out exactly when they closed. I looked back to see my partner still on the train with the doors now closed. The train started to move. I could see him inside looking at me through the window. He looked just as confused as I was. It was one of those moments when you think everything feels a little bit strange and weird. I pointed ahead, trying to show my partner that we would meet at the next station. He nodded, looking worried, but understanding. The plan was simple. He would get off at the next stop, and I would catch the next train. We would both get off at the same station, and then we would be together again. At least, that's what I hoped would happen. Part 2, the misstep, B1 to B2 level. The next train arrived quickly, and I hopped on without thinking twice, feeling a bit relieved but still unsure of what was happening. What if my partner didn't make it off at the next station, I wondered. What if something went wrong? The train started moving and I looked out the window, thinking about how we ended up in this situation. We were supposed to be on the same train on our way to meet our friends, but now we were separated. I just had to get off at the next station and he would be there waiting for me. I saw a station coming up, so I stood up ready to get out when it reached the next stop. But the train didn't slow down. It just kept going. It passed that station where my partner was surely waiting for me. The first station passed by, then the second, and then the third. My heart began to race. What's going on? Why didn't the train stop? It took me a few moments to realize that I had made another error. This wasn't just any train. This was an express train, which means it wouldn't stop at every station. I was now stuck on a train going further and further away from where I wanted to be, and I had no idea where it was going to take me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, the train pulled into a station. I stepped off the train and glanced around. I was now completely lost. I didn't know where I was, and I couldn't contact my partner. The thought of him waiting for me made my anxiety rise. Was he still at that station waiting? Would he think I had just missed the train and would show up on the next one? Then, as I looked through my bag, I realized something else. I had my partner's rail pass. Without it, he wouldn't be able to leave the station, because he would need the pass to show the staff at the gates. I couldn't believe it. Not only had I gotten on the wrong train, but I had also taken something important from him. He would be stuck at the station just as I was stuck here. This was turning out to be a real mess. The reality of the situation was beginning to hit me. I was in an unfamiliar place with no clear way to communicate with my partner. I tried using a payphone, but I didn't remember the country code for his phone number. I couldn't believe how things had escalated so quickly. I had started out just trying to catch a simple train, and now I found myself in a situation that felt almost impossible to fix. I stood there, feeling the weight of the situation settling heavy on my chest. What was I going to do? Part 3, the search, C1 to C2 level. But then, a sudden clarity struck me. I had little choice but to act. Standing still, paralyzed by uncertainty, was no longer an option. If I didn't take control of the situation now, I would only spiral further out of reach. I steadied my nerves, inhaling deeply, and resolved to board the next train that arrived at the platform, hoping against all odds that it would carry me in the right direction. The next train came into the platform and I stepped aboard, my eyes scanning the station signs with an almost obsessive focus. Each passing moment felt like an eternity, as the rhythmic motion of the train served only to amplify my anxiety. What if I had failed to spot him? What if he'd already given up and left? I couldn't bear the thought of losing him amid the labyrinth of trains and stations that made up downtown Osaka. As the train jostled forward, I was acutely aware that I needed to watch for the correct platform. I continued to peer through the window, hoping against hope to see my partner at one of these stations. The seconds stretched into minutes, and with each station that flashed past, my impatience seemed to grow, as though the train itself were taunting me, deliberately slowing my progress. And then, just as I was starting to question whether I'd missed my chance, I looked up. Across the platform, standing in stark contrast to the surrounding bustle, was him, my partner. There he was, standing in silence, looking slightly disheveled, but unmistakably waiting, a weary determination in his posture. Time seemed to freeze. My heart, which had been racing with fear, now pounded with relief and disbelief. I raised my hand, instinctively waving frantically in an attempt to draw his attention. With the weight of the situation lifting slightly, I surged forward, my legs propelling me faster than I ever thought would be possible. The train slowed to a crawl and then stopped. I was off in an instant, crossing the platform in a few quick strides. Our eyes met, and for a brief moment, the world around us fell away, leaving only the quiet joy of our reunion. I had done it! We had found each other in the midst of the chaos, hundreds of trains, and millions of people. As we stood there, finally together, he began to recount his side of the story. He'd figured out what had happened as soon as the first train had passed him by. That realization slowly settling in. He admitted that after waiting for nearly 40 minutes, he had come dangerously close to abandoning hope and leaving the station. Yet something held him back, some silent intuition that kept him waiting just a little bit longer. I couldn't help but feel a surge of gratitude and admiration. Despite the chaos, he had trusted me, and it was that trust that had led us back to each other. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of confusion, we managed to board the correct train. We reached our meeting point, albeit much later than we had intended, where our friends were waiting, oblivious to the small but daunting drama that had unfolded in the background. We shared the story of our misadventure over bowls of steaming yaki udon and chilled beers. The tension of the evening slowly fading as we laughed about the absurdity of it all. Our friends congratulated us on keeping a cool head and told us they wouldn't have known what to do if it had been them in that situation. In the quiet reflection that followed, I realized that the true lesson of the evening wasn't about understanding the train system or even the blunders we'd made. It was understanding that staying calm, even in moments of confusion and frustration, is what truly makes the difference. When life throws chaos and uncertainty our way, it's a level head that allows us to find clarity and take meaningful steps forward. No matter how lost we may feel at times, keeping our composure helps us navigate the challenges and find our way, both towards solutions and back to a sense of stability. Well, there you have it. How much did you understand? As I mentioned at the start, this is a real life story. This actually happened to me and my partner when we visited Japan. I always tell this story to new friends as a sort of dinner party anecdote. An anecdote is a short, often funny story, especially about something that has happened to someone. What do you think? Did you enjoy my anecdote? Would you like to hear more stories like this in the future? Let me know in the comments. It certainly wasn't too funny at the time, but now looking back, it's something I can laugh about. Remember, you can download the story from today in order to highlight any new words and read through it again. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and don't forget to subscribe to see the one next week. See you soon.